like improvisational. Muay Khao is very playful, but it's like a pissing contest or something. It's like a game of dominance that's really, really fun. And I have so much fun when I'm training with Lamnammoon. I love his attitude, I love his style. He's really scary, which is great. This is his gym here. Love him. Hi. What you guys are about to see is the second session with Lamnammoon Sorsumali in the Muay Thai Library. I absolutely love Lamnammoon. I love his style. I love his personality. I love working with him. I have a lot of fun every time I see him, and I hope there will be many, many, many of those because it's so wonderful. I'm also very happy to share his style because it's unique in many ways, although it's approachable in all ways. So you can do the things that Lamnammoon does in his style. They're not esoteric, they're not hard to achieve, they just take a lot of work and understanding and feeling to be able to do the things that he teaches. Some things that I want you to look out for in this session starts out with how to stay protected when you're a Dern fighter. So if this is your first session and you don't know what a Dern fighter is, if you are the aggressive, pressuring fighter, you're the one going forward, that's Dern. It literally means to walk. It means you're the one coming forward. So as a Dern fighter, the most important thing actually is to have good defense so that you can protect yourself as you're closing in on that distance and coming into range of your opponent. He has a very beautiful non-tense closing of his shoulder and his jaw in order to protect himself as he's working his way inside. And then he also has this incredible, Kevin and I call it persistence hunting, that's in Muay Khao, Muay Dern, Muay Buk, Muay Mat. It just means that you're like wearing someone down in the way that you come forward. Something about Lamnammoon that I find very distinct and very beautiful is he just does not break pace. Like, he just keeps coming. He doesn't rush, he's not slow, it's just this consistent closing in. And so there's an organization and a structure to his Dern that he works with me on early in the session. And a lot of it has to do with where your feet are at any given distance and making sure that you're stepping outside of your opponent's stance when you get close enough, which is for balance, centering your opponent for power, defense, being able to follow, all of these different things. So these are really important. So it's Dern structure, which includes defense, is a really important part of this session. There's also an important structure of body composure, which for Lamnammoon is at all times the position you should basically take when you're in clinch. So clinch is having like a triangular shape, like a pyramid, so you want to have a wide base and be tight or, you know, closed up top so that you can kind of like grip and have balance. He's in this position all the time. So the way he phrases it is hands close, legs outside, hands inside, legs outside, and he's always in this position as he's moving forward. He has this incredible knee. He calls it Khao. This is to like chop a little bit. So there is a Yat, which he says Karahat does, which is kind of like a pushing with your shin. This is half knee, half shin, Khao, and it's just, it's like a battering ram, but it just goes straight through you. It's a really beautiful, high, distinct knee that if you're trying to do something in a fight and you're trying to take a round, that will take the round for you. It's a really, really beautiful, strong knee, and I struggle with it a little bit, which is great for you guys. So you get to see how not to do it, how not to overturn, how not to turn it into 2 beats. It's 1 beat, and it has this kind of like explosive moment in it. Another thing to look out for is the accordion knee, which is just so crazy. I also call it the whiplash knee because it's accordion in the sense that you're pushing someone back and bringing your leg back at the same time. So there's an expansion and a contraction, but it's so fast and so violent that you kind of like whiplash the opponent as you're doing it, and the stun effect of that allows you to land kind of uninhibited in any way. It's really devastating. There's some really beautiful crowbar escapes from the clinch. So this is a way that you come around the back of the neck in order to pitch someone forward. There's the Elvis hip to trip down below. So this is a high-low way of kind of off-balancing and breaking the root of your opponent in the clinch. He works a lot on how to not have a porch, like how to not stop on the porch on your way into grabbing your opponent. I said this a little bit earlier about how he never breaks pace. he works with me a lot on how you actually achieve that. And the way you practice that is the way that we're practicing it in the session, which is that you basically have to do it in a like sparring, clinching with a partner type of setting in order to feel all those different distances and feel how to not break your pace, feel how to get them into a position that's predictable for yourself so that you can be defended and also predict their offense as you're getting to those positions where you would be most vulnerable. And Lamnammoon is just absolutely incredible at it. And then probably my favorite thing that's kind of a very overarching thing to look out for in this session is just how to train Muay Khao. I have said I absolutely love training with Lamnammoon. He is pure Muay Khao in his heart, in the way that he plays, in his dominance, in the way that like he'll let me train something and learn something and get something on him a couple of times in order to understand it, but then he's got to come back. Like he always has to get that point back in his heart. Like this is a thing about Muay Khao. But if you look at the way that Muay Khao is trained, between the two of us, he acts as a pad man at times. So if you're a pad man, you learn from him. If you're a Muay Khao fighter who has a pad man, you need to look at how to deal with the pad man kind of thing. But Muay Khao is very four-dimensional in that you're always moving side to side, forward and back. You want to go high-low, but there's also timing. Timing is incredibly important for Muay Khao, and I think that this is an underdeveloped, underappreciated, and underutilized aspect of being a true Yod Muay Khao is the timing element. And I feel like in this session, Lamnammoon really brings out a lot of how that timing plays out, how to train it, how to see it, and most importantly, how to feel it. So I had a lot of fun. I'm very excited to be putting more of Lamnammoon in the Muay Thai library because I just love his style. I love him. I think it's incredible. And again, as I've said, I have so much fun with him. So I hope you guys enjoy watching how much fun it is. I hope you guys feel compelled to actually go see him at his gym in Ubon if you have the opportunity to do so. And I just think he's an absolute treasure. So I'm very, very happy to be putting more of him in the library. So I start out by pointing out that I've noticed that fighters now, when they come and they turn and they grab, they like float their chins up. And so I'm talking about how do you come and grab and protect at the same time because he's so tall. Watch. So Lamnammoon is saying you grab the head and you grab the arm, and then you can pulse them back and then rip them towards you for the next knee. So this is instead of having to make distance with your own leg. This is like an accordion where you're like expanding and contracting really fast, but it causes this like whiplash. He does it so violently, it kind of stuns you, and that knee is kneeing. Do not knee their leg. You're just popping. Your hip is jutting to the side like Elvis, and you pull at the same time. See how he just bends his leg, kind of? Yeah, so it's just these like, if you feel down from your armpit a little bit, you'll find a spot with your fingers where you just kind of like, you're like, I don't really want to be touched there. That's where you want to hit with your knee. Like in any way, you have to like have root and posture, and sine is like charisma.
How do you relax if you're clinching with big boys?
So Kevin asked, like, how do you relax if you're clinching with bigger people? So I'm like, if this were you, Ajahn, if this were you and you're going against bigger people, what would you do? One that turns, because that's the like finishing shot. So there's two low kicks. One is the stinging, I can hit you with this as many times as I want, that's got no turn on it. And then there's the power one that you're like, I see my opportunity and I'm going to take your whole leg out with me. But it's still not as much of a turn as I would think of. It's the same thing too, of this kick up into the shoulder, like tap, 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 and then whoop, you turn it.
He pikes a little bit.
So he's saying if you have time to block, block. That's good.
Look at his head.
But you might not have time to block. Like you may have missed your chance to block and your weight is on the wrong foot, and so you know you can't block on that side. So what you do instead is you hit the standing leg. If your weight is on your left leg and someone is coming to right kick you, you cannot get that leg up in time. But if your weight is already on your left leg, you totally have time to put power on a kick into their standing leg. It's like that's where your weight is, so it's ideal for that situation. So I have to come up on my toe to get that better. If I'm very flat foot, it's just like rocket in the air, it does nothing. You have to roll up onto the ball of your foot in order to get the like pendulous power on that. Look at him invade my space. He's like, he's testing me because the whole point is whoever controls the distance controls the fight. So he's just marching in on me a little bit for me to have to adjust.
A little bit of a pike, but a little bit of a...
He keeps saying tong tong. He wants my body to stay center. So he's trying to get me to do it, and I'm like, I can see you doing it, but I don't understand how to do it myself. I'm like, I see it, but I can't understand how to do it. I didn't quite make the connection between the like pendulum, so I was over rotating.
It doesn't change at all.
No.
This is just to sting. This is just like I can keep you exactly here and then bop when you have the opportunity, then you turn. Wear your opponent down with punches and low kicks in the first 2 rounds. It's similar to Decent Muay being like, don't bring your weapons out for the first 2 rounds. You want to just kind of track your opponent around the ring, make their weapons come out and you counter them. There is a kind of strategy in narrative Muay Thai scoring, which is traditional Muay Thai, not entertainment Muay Thai, where you want to kind of like play a certain game in order to set yourself up for the later rounds. So see how I want to leave my arm out from the jab or the elbow that I've just thrown as the block? That's the same thing of what we just were seeing with the throwing the long right and then keeping the shoulder forward in a block. So I'm blocking him and I'm on one leg and my knee is up to guard against kicks and knees from him. But as I come down and my foot lands, I'm going to throw that elbow. And he's making a point that you don't throw the weapon if you're not balanced. That's why when the foot comes down, you can make the contact. But you don't make the contact as you're falling. You make it as the foot hits or slightly after. So I have switched stance in order to throw that right elbow, and he's like, you can come forward and throw with the front elbow too, you just have to cover the distance properly. He's like, if you have proper balance, then you have power. You can basically hit them on the rebound. I like how he holds for his leg kicks. It's basically like a butt kick. See how he holds for those teeps, and then it's basically like keeping someone at a particular distance? He doesn't use them offensively, and he doesn't use them defensively as a like, get off of me. It's basically like a stay there, which is how Sylvie uses them. Rawang, rawang. This means like watch out, like warning. So he's warning me about me collapsing my distance too much. I keep getting too close to him, which is very dangerous. As a femur fighter, you are constantly keeping someone at exactly the range you want. You want them exactly on the end of your strikes. So me falling into him is basically like against the code of how femur structures itself, like how it works.